I got a really interesting comment, and it's actually forced me to think about a few things. In Colin Moriarty's video where he was talking about Xbox's dreams of exclusivity having been shattered because they went ahead and, purchased Activision Blizzard King and Bethesda, put their games in Game Pass, and things weren't working out, blah, blah, blah. I made the comment that since 2016, Xbox had already basically taken a stance that they were looking for the best place for gamers to play games, and they were going to deliver games to them in a tweet or Twitter thread that you saw play out with the Crab Gamer and Phil Spencer. An audience member said that their actions speak louder than a tweet because even then they were still maintaining some console exclusivity. Well, the tweet was talking about exclusivity compared to Windows PC exclusivity. That's the context where Phil actually said that they did not want to create any walls. So even then, they were still maintaining console exclusivity when they moved to PC. Their move to PlayStation inevitably would have happened one way or the other, seeing that in 2014, they already acquired Mojang and were making tons and tons of cash from there. So even Xbox proved my point, and you're going to see it in this whole thread, that exclusivity was a ruse and a mirage. Regardless of the purchasing of Activision Blizzard King, if they had still gotten here, you just said that their business shrunk even with Call of Duty and all of that. So even without Call of Duty, their business would have still shrunk, and they would have still been in a very interesting place trying to find ways to make more money. So inevitably, with or without Activision Blizzard King, Xbox would have entertained the thought of going to PlayStation. In seeing that Mojang, the studio that they bought that was doing Minecraft, was already being profitable by having their game everywhere on Nintendo and PlayStation. So for Colin Moriarty to basically say that the reason they're going to PlayStation is because they made all these investments, it's a moot point because even you don't believe it. You agree with me. You said it's quite pathetic that their services grow only 2%. And you said, but rather their actions come from the need to remain viable. Colin Moriarty said that their actions basically are as a result of them being too ambitious and greedy. Instead of admitting that they basically made these moves to be able to stay viable in the market. Also, the gaming industry is seeing a bludgeoning from the market overall. Xbox was the first to take a hit. They didn't have enough consoles in the Xbox One days to absorb that kind of damage. Thankfully, they had their parent company, Microsoft, to basically have that staying power to keep them, to keep entertaining them. You said this, they'll increasingly become dependent on PlayStation and Nintendo without denying that it's likely that these two will begin to eat into the Xbox user base. Already, this premise of yours is flawed as well, in the sense that PlayStation's own first-party sales are down. It has the console base that's from the PlayStation 4 that's moving up into the PS5 because you cited that 42% of those PlayStation console sales were new users. But what are these new users playing? Apparently, they're not playing these PlayStation games as much as they should. They're playing third-party games. So PlayStation is actually going to be the better benefactor of a third-party game. So when you make it sound like Xbox is depending on PlayStation, PlayStation is also mutualistically depending on Xbox as a third-party publisher on their platform. Do y'all see it? The gaming industry is taking a beating right now. Phil Spencer is making moves to keep its own studios viable, to make sure its developers can eat. Xbox is doing right by the gamers and doing right by its developers as best as it can. PlayStation, on the other hand, very minimal tolerance to try to do that and wanting to basically present itself as, if we're exclusive, we're better than everybody else, close down Firewalk Studios without even the thought of entertaining a Concord on Xbox. Do you see the difference in their business strategy? So everybody that's over here lambasting Xbox, right? And not basically taking into account what it is that their business strategy is actually, trying to achieve, you're going to always miss the mark with them. You're going to always miss the mark with them. Because just like I said, at the same time, even before these acquisitions went through, let me go ahead and basically blow your mind here. MLB The Show came to Xbox. Now, I know everybody would start saying, well, it was not. I had to make a whole video yesterday of somebody calling me a liar for saying that MLB The Show was a PlayStation game when it's made by a PlayStation studio. But I have one question to ask. The question is not who published MLB The Show on Xbox. The question is, why is MLB The Show on Xbox? Why? In fact, the question is, why does PlayStation continue to develop a game that's going to Xbox? And remember, that game actually came to Xbox even before any acquisitions. Why did PlayStation move a game of its to Xbox? Because the game's not viable on PlayStation alone. It's just that simple. It's not viable on PlayStation alone. In fact, it probably wasn't viable enough, in my opinion, for them to risk a PC port as an alternative. They had to go straight to where they were guaranteed a sports gaming player base, which was Xbox. Because they could have made a PC version and called it good, but they're still making an Xbox version and have not made a PC version. Which is crazy. Are you trying to tell me that Sony San Diego would still be doing business if MLB The Show was exclusive? So again, whether or not they purchased Activision Blizzard King or not, the market was not bothered with exclusivity. The market was already tearing the whole paradigm of exclusivity apart. I mean, let's go back and see. Let's just take a very good look at how many PlayStation games have shown up on Steam in the last few years. Do you want to see it? Let me show you the calendar so that you will realize what's going on here more than anything else. That these studios don't need to make big acquisitions before they start porting their games. Because the PlayStation porting their games to PC, I don't think was on the back of any major acquisitions. Maybe Firewalk Studios or whatnot. But we're not going to go ahead and tie that into it. Because again, we'll be finding ourselves in Collins' argument, which I don't think makes any sense. Because we didn't know about Firewalk Studios. I mean, they've been developing the Concord game for 8 years. But at the same time, PlayStation was already launching its games. Now look at the difference from around 20. Look at the last game that they launched, right? The first game they launched here on Steam was in 2015, Helldivers. And then they did Everybody's Gone to Rapture in 2016. But look at 2020, 2021, 2022, 2022, 2022, 2022. All these games already leaving their exclusive haven and making their way to PC. Something was shifting in the gaming industry 5 years ago, and we did not even know it. Again, remember, Bethesda was acquired around here, 2021, right? So something was already shifting across the board. If PC players reach a saturation point and they're not buying PlayStation first-party software, as well as PlayStation players not buying PlayStation first-party software, you're going to see an MLB The Show happen, or a Lego Horizon Adventures happen, or a Death Stranding happen, or a Predator Hunting Grounds happen. The reason they're taking these other proxy games, if you pay very close attention, is because these games are designed to keep you in a place where you think, oh, those tentpole games are safe. But in reality, it's all software. Remove the brand logo of the name of the game. Just hide it. Let's just say you go ahead and you hide it. And you don't worry about the name. Let's just call it generic software. It doesn't really matter. If it's bringing in 70% from Nintendo, while this game is pretending like it's a big superior, exclusive, it still provides a net gain for PlayStation. If Helldivers 2 launches here day 1 and this guy launches there month 5, Helldivers 2 is still bringing in revenue for PlayStation, judging by the fact that, again, when you look very closely, according to Daniel Ahmad, JugeEX on Twitter, he says that the growth of PlayStation software was largely due to Helldivers 2. What acquisition made them put Helldivers 2 on PC? None. But yet, we want to go ahead and now tie in Xbox's own challenges to acquisitions? No. That's just saltiness being hidden as some kind of, analysis that Xbox would dare to not maintain exclusivity and dare to buy basically the biggest goose in PlayStation's own little pen, the golden goose, and then fillet it, and give it to their fans on Game Pass and not lord it over them in some kind of way that would make viable news headlines and news stories. The console war is dead. The market doesn't care. The market doesn't care. In fact, I'm going to make another video showing y'all exactly what I mean. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace out.